The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town. It had been empty for years, and no one dared to go near it. It was said to be haunted by the ghost of a young woman who had been murdered there. One night, a group of teenagers decided to explore the house. They had heard the stories, but they didn't believe them. They thought it would be fun to spend a night in the house and see if anything happened. They arrived at the house late at night. It was dark and silent, and the only sound was the wind blowing through the trees. The teenagers cautiously entered the house, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls. They explored the house, room by room. It was dusty and cobwebbed, and the furniture was covered in sheets. The teenagers found a few old toys and some books, but there was no sign of the ghost. They were about to give up when they heard a noise. It was a faint sound, like someone crying. The teenagers followed the sound to the basement. The basement was dark and damp, and the air was thick with the smell of mold. The teenagers shone their flashlights around, and they saw a figure huddled in the corner. The figure was a young woman, and she was crying. She was wearing a white dress, and her hair was long and black. She looked up at the teenagers, and her eyes were filled with fear. The teenagers were terrified. They wanted to run away, but they couldn't move. They were frozen in fear. The young woman stood up and she started to walk towards the teenagers. She was still crying, and her eyes were wild. The teenagers screamed and ran away. They didn't stop running until they were safe at home. They never went back to the house, and they never spoke of what they had seen. But the memory of the young woman's ghost would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The next day, the teenagers went back to the house. They wanted to see if the ghost was still there. But when they arrived, the house was gone. It had been demolished, and there was nothing left but a pile of rubble. The teenagers didn't know what to think. They had seen the ghost with their own eyes, but now the house was gone. They didn't know if the ghost had been real or if it had just been a figment of their imagination. But one thing was for sure. They would never forget the night they saw the ghost in the old house. I ran as fast as I could, my heart pounding in my chest. The footsteps were getting closer, and I knew I couldn't outrun them. I had to find a place to hide. I ducked into an alleyway, hoping to lose the creature that was chasing me, but it was no use. The footsteps stopped just outside the alleyway, and I could hear the creature sniffing the air. I held my breath, hoping the creature wouldn't find me, but then I heard it growl and I knew it had found me. The creature lunged into the alleyway, and I screamed. It was a massive, hulking creature with sharp teeth and claws. It lunged at me, and I barely had time to roll out of the way. The creature roared in anger and lunged at me again. This time I wasn't so lucky. The creature's claws raked across my chest, and I felt a sharp pain. I screamed again and tried to fight back, but the creature was too strong. It knocked me to the ground and straddled me, its claws digging into my flesh. I closed my eyes and waited for the end. But then I heard a loud noise, and the creature suddenly jumped off of me. I opened my eyes and saw a man standing in the alleyway, holding a baseball bat. The man swung the bat at the creature, and the creature roared in pain. It turned and ran away, disappearing into the darkness. The man helped me to my feet. "Are you okay?" he asked. I nodded, still in shock. "Thank you," I said. "You saved my life." The man smiled. "No problem," he said. "I'm just glad I could help." I didn't know the man's name, but I'll never forget him. He was my hero. I walked away from the alleyway, still shaken by what had happened, but I was also grateful to be alive. I didn't know what the creature was, but I knew it was something evil, and I was glad that I had survived my encounter with it. I made my way back to my apartment, still shaken by what had happened. I couldn't believe that I had survived my encounter with the creature. I locked the door behind me and collapsed on the couch. I was exhausted, both physically and mentally. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but I couldn't stop thinking about the creature. What was it? Where did it come from? And why was it chasing me? I didn't know the answers to any of those questions, but I knew one thing for sure. I would never be the same again. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a walk. I needed to clear my head and try to forget about what had happened. I walked for hours until I came to a park. I sat down on a bench and watched the people go by. As I was sitting there, I saw a little girl playing in the distance. She was about 5 years old, with long blonde hair and big blue eyes. She was playing with a doll, and she was laughing and having a good time. I watched her for a while, and I felt a sense of peace come over me. I realized that there was still good in the world, even after what I had seen. I got up and walked over to the little girl. "Hi," I said. "What's your name?" "My name is Emily," she said. "What's yours?" "My name is your name," I said. "It's nice to meet you, Emily." "It's nice to meet you too," she said. We talked for a while, and I told her about my encounter with the creature. She listened intently, and when I was finished, she just smiled. "Don't worry," she said. "The creature is gone now. It won't hurt you anymore." I smiled back at her. "Thank you," I said. "I needed to hear that." I walked away from Emily, feeling a little bit better. I knew that the creature was gone and that I was safe. But I also knew that I would never forget what I had seen. The creature was real and it was evil. But I also knew that there was still good in the world and that I would never let the creature take that away from me. I went home and tried to forget about what had happened, but I couldn't. The creature was always in the back of my mind, haunting me. I started having nightmares about the creature, and I would wake up in a cold sweat. I was afraid to go out at night, and I would always check my locks before going to bed. One night I had a dream that the creature was back. It was chasing me through the woods, and I was running for my life. I ran and ran, but the creature was always getting closer. I could hear its footsteps getting louder, and I could smell its foul breath. I knew that I was going to die. Just when I thought all hope was lost, I woke up. I was in my bed, safe and sound, but I knew that the creature was real and that it was still out there. I didn't know what to do. I was afraid to go to the police because I didn't think they would believe me. I was also afraid to tell anyone else because I didn't want them to think I was crazy. So I kept it to myself and I lived in fear. A few weeks later, I was walking home from work late at night. I was walking through an alleyway when I heard a noise. I turned around and I saw the creature. It was standing in the shadows, watching me. I froze. I didn't know what to do. The creature just stared at me, its eyes glowing in the darkness. After a few moments, the creature started to walk towards me. I turned and ran, but the creature was faster. It caught up to me and grabbed me. I screamed as it dragged me into the darkness. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew that it wasn't a dream this time. The creature had taken me. I didn't know where I was, but I knew that I was in danger. I could hear the creature's footsteps getting closer, and I knew that it was coming for me. I closed my eyes and waited for the end, but the end never came. Instead, I heard a voice. "Don't be afraid," the voice said. "I'm here to help you." I opened my eyes and I saw a figure standing in the darkness. It was a woman and she was beautiful. "Who are you?" I asked. "I'm the one who saved you," she said. "The creature was going to kill you, but I stopped it." "How?" I asked. "I'm a guardian," she said. "My job is to protect people from evil." "Thank you," I said. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "You're welcome," she said. "Now we need to get you out of here." The guardian led me out of the darkness, and I saw that I was in a forest. "Where are we?" I asked. "This is my realm," she said. "A place where evil cannot touch you." "Thank you," I said. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "You're welcome," she said. "Now you're safe." The guardian disappeared, and I was alone in the forest. I looked around, and I saw that I was surrounded by beauty. I took a deep breath of the fresh air, and I felt my fear start to melt away. I was safe. I was free. I walked through the forest, and I knew that I would never be the same again. I had seen the evil in the world, but I had also seen the good. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew that it wasn't a dream this time. The creature had taken me. I didn't know where I was, but I knew that I was in danger. I could hear the creature's footsteps getting closer, and I knew that it was coming for me. I closed my eyes and waited for the end, but the end never came. Instead, I heard a voice. "Don't be afraid," the voice said. "I'm here to help you." I opened my eyes and I saw a figure standing in the darkness. It was a woman, and she was beautiful. "Who are you?" I asked. "I'm the one who saved you," she said. "The creature was going to kill you, but I stopped it." "How?" I asked. "I'm a guardian," she said. "My job is to protect people from evil." "Thank you," I said. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "You're welcome," she said. "Now we need to get you out of here." The guardian led me out of the darkness, and I saw that I was in a forest. "Where are we?" I asked. "This is my realm," she said. A place where evil cannot touch you. Thank you, I said. I don't know what I would have done without you. You're welcome, she said. Now you're safe. The guardian disappeared, and I was alone in the forest. I looked around, and I saw that I was surrounded by beauty. I took a deep breath of the fresh air, and I felt my fear start to melt away. I was safe. I was free. I walked through the forest, and I knew that I would never be the same again. I had seen the evil in the world, but I had also seen the good. I knew that there was still hope, and that I would never give up on the fight against evil. But then I heard a noise. It was the creature. It was back. I turned around and I saw it standing in the shadows. It was even more hideous than I remembered. Its eyes were glowing red, and its teeth were sharp as knives. It roared in anger, and I knew that I was in trouble. I ran, but the creature was faster. It caught up to me and grabbed me. I screamed as it dragged me into the darkness. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew that it was a dream, but it felt so real. I got out of bed and went to the window. I looked out at the night sky and I saw the moon. It was full. I knew what that meant. A creature was out there somewhere, and it was coming for me.